Is this a responsible budget? Do you like the downsizing change? And 1 million homes by 2029, is this a big improbable call? I'm Peter Switzer, he's Paul Rickard, and we're mad about money. Okay, Paul, you spent the night last night working a lot harder than me, trying to sum up the budget for our video. What do you think? Was it a responsible budget?
Well, I guess by Labor standards it was, Peter. I mean, I think there are two things. First of all, they delivered on their election commitments, and that's essentially what the budget was all about. Secondly, there are no new taxes. There's a marginal increase in what's called the penalty unit, but it's very hard to find any other taxes going up. And so thirdly, I think they put off the hard decisions till May next year. So given that, look, the spending matches their election commitments, I guess you've got to say they haven't really attacked the other side and they haven't really cut into any programs. But by Labor standards, Peter, and coming back to your question, yes, I guess it was responsible.
Yeah, I think the important point is this, Paul. They haven't done anything really tough at a time when the economy is kind of threatened by the rising interest rates from both the Federal Reserve and the Australian Central Bank. We've got, the possibility that 2023 will be a slower economic year. And so not going hard now makes a lot of sense. Hopefully, a lot of their forecasts are excessively negative, and 2023 will actually be a better year. And that will probably come about if the US inflation rate starts to fall and the Fed stops raising interest rates. And then maybe by May, they can become a little bit tougher because there's natural momentum in the economy. I think you're right. This is a responsible budget for a Labor government. We just keep our fingers crossed that the economy heads in a much better direction than's implied. And remember this, Paul, you used to this time and time again. Treasurers will go for the most negative forecast that Treasury puts to them, because if it turns out to be more positive, they'll look like a great treasurer when the budget deficit's a lot smaller than expected. Let's go to the one, and we'll talk about some investing issues.
Yep.
This change in the downsizing rule that was age 65, we've pushed down to 60, and now it's going to go to 55. That's going to help a lot of people boost up their super, even before they stop working.
Yeah, it is, Peter, and look, that's a positive change. They've also made a small change to the way Centrelink works when you downsize and you actually end up with more cash, effectively increasing sort of the deferral period before it really cuts in from 1 year to 2 years, and also a small change to how the deeming works. So that's positive, and so that's taken away one of the negatives why people don't downsize, if they fear that it might actually impact their pension. So I think they're positive changes, Peter, but look, in the scheme of things, pretty small. I guess for superannuation savers, the big changes, if there are to be any, will be in May next year. So I'm sure they're going to come back to the sort of $5 million limit and a few other things. There are also a couple of other things for investors. We had the pension at work bonus that was announced before. It means pensioners can actually earn more money now before their pension gets cut. And finally, probably a pretty positive move, and I haven't quite seen the timing of this, is the income threshold for the Commonwealth Seniors Health Card. That's the card you get if you don't qualify for the pension, but still gets you access to all the free Medicare and all those really important things that are going with being a pensioner. The income threshold for a couple has been lifted from roughly 98,000, will end up at about 144,000. So that'll mean more people, more self-funded retirees will be eligible for the Commonwealth Seniors Card. So that's also a positive.
And Paul, was there anything in there, like I know, for example, whenever there's a buyback, a lot of retirees who are in the pension mode, you often say, you have to go for this buyback. It's just it's so attractive. They're basically taking away that attractive buyback proposition for lots of retirees.
Well, nothing I can see yet, Peter. There's some other changes coming up that may impact that, which is currently a discussion paper and some legislation dated from 2016. But look, there wasn't anything I could see so far. So some of those things, as I say, I think the nasties are going to be in May next year, Peter. That's what the sort of, this is about, we're committing to our election, which was, these were the promises. We're implementing those. We're not doing anything that we didn't tell you about by way of tax increases. And let's sort of tick off the box. And that way we can say, Labor delivered on its election commitments. And I guess that's as far as the Prime Minister is concerned, is something that's pretty important.
Yeah, and what about the pie in the sky? And I love it. It's a great pie in the sky. 1 million homes to be built located in good areas,
Yeah.
apparently, by 2029. It's a nice idea. Do you believe it?
Well, look, I don't believe it because, look, firstly, it's a good idea because we do have a shortage of housing. If you look at any of the stats that say that we need X 100,000 new homes per annum and we aren't building them, right? So there is actually every year the shortage of housing gets worse. So there's a real problem. So I think the initiative to say we're suddenly going to build 1 million homes over 5 years is a good idea. Will it happen? I don't think that's the big blocker. The big blocker in many cases is around labour, it's around planning permission. So unless the states are 100% on board and we're all prepared to be a little more accommodating about having things being built in our area, I can't believe this. But, you know, let's hope I'm wrong. And in Mad About Money in 2029, someone a lot more sensible than us, Peter, says, these knuckleheads, they called it a ruse, they said it wouldn't work, but it did.
Yeah, exactly right. And what was really interesting is that if it works, yeah, it's supposed to start, 2024, you'd be investing in building companies in 2023 just to get in ahead of it.
Yeah, look, ultimately it is going to be good for the CSRs, the Borrells, I guess, the Adbris, all those James Hardys, all the others involved in buildings. But it's such a long way out, Peter. I don't think that the market's going to take any notice of it now. But longer term, could be some good investment in industrial companies because clearly the Labor government wants to bring more of this stuff on stream locally, and that should be good for some of Australia's industrial companies.
Okay, let's keep our fingers crossed that the economy heads in the right direction and a lot of these promises actually come to fruition. I'm Peter Switzer, he's Paul Rickard, and we're mad about money.